now.
It's interesting. Democrats say, you know, the problem with Senator Cruz's position is that it's a purist position. There are problems with Obamacare. The White House admits that. We talked about polling in some quarters indicating great dissatisfaction with the law, as you're talking about in town hall meetings. But you haven't engaged in a debate about how to change the law. What you've gone out and said is, let's kill the law altogether. Let's defund it.
Actually, with respect, David, I think the premise of your question is wrong. It is the Democrats who have taken the absolutist position. Look, I've engaged. I'd like to repeal every word of the law. But that wasn't my position even in this fight. My position in this fight was we should defund it, which is different from repeal. And even now, what the House of Representatives has done is a step removed from defunding. It's delaying it. Now, that's the essence of a compromise. For all of us who want to see it repealed, simply delaying it for American families on the same terms as being done for big corporations, that's a compromise. And at the same time, David, on the other side, what have the Democrats compromised on? Nothing. Zero. Their position is absolutely no, no matter what. How is that compromise?
You make this argument as if there's no broader context here. Obamacare has been legislated, it has been adjudicated, and it has been tested to the political system. And so let's go through that. We had an election where I heard the standard bearer for the Republican Party, Mitt Romney, say Obamacare should be repealed. All the Republicans already voted against this thing when it was ultimately passed. The Supreme Court upheld it. And then this summer, you and your colleagues said, look, let's have a strategy here of defunding Obamacare. And you had people who signed a letter, and they said they joined you in that fight. Well, here you are now. You don't even have the same number of folks who signed the letter who voted with you in this effort. There are not protests in the streets arguing to do away with this law in the way that you'd like. Again, 56% in one poll this week, New York Times, CBS said, let's uphold the law. So I'm focusing on results, your goal and results. Where have you moved anything?
Okay, look, the facts are becoming more and more clear that Obamacare isn't working. Every day that's becoming more clear. There's a reason the unions are jumping ship. One union after another is saying, let me out. There's a reason why James Hoffa, the president of the Teamsters, said that he was writing on behalf of millions of working men and women, and he used millions, not hundreds, not thousands, and he said Obamacare was destroying their health care. Destroying is his word. Now, why is it that Harry Reid and the Senate Democrats are not willing to listen to the millions of working men and women whose health care is being destroyed?
You're a terrific lawyer. You're making an argument. I asked you a specific question based on the facts on the ground. You've made all these arguments. My goodness, you went and spoke for 21 hours to make these arguments. You haven't moved anyone.
Oh, look, the American people overwhelmingly reject Obamacare. They understand it's not working. The only people who aren't listening to the argument are the career politicians in Washington. It's Harry Reid who wants to use brute political force. And the great thing about the Constitution is that it creates a system of checks and balances, and each branch has the ability to check another. President Obama, sadly, in implementing Obamacare, has over and over again disregarded the law. When he granted an exemption for giant corporations, that was contrary to law. When he granted an exemption to members of Congress, that was contrary to law. Right now, we have a system where the rich and powerful, those with connections to the Obama administration, they get spared some of the burdens of Obamacare. But those who are struggling, single moms and young people and people who are just trying to make it, they don't get the
You're
same
an opponent of the law. There is, of course, another side to this story, right? Millions of Americans are getting access to health care that they couldn't otherwise afford. Folks who have children, they can now be on it up to 26. Republicans agree with things like not having pre-existing conditions get in the way of getting insurance. Utilization is down. I spoke to a hospital administrator in Illinois this week, quite skeptical of the law, who said, look, utilization is down. That could ultimately be helpful for health care costs. You can't know what the effect is 5 years on from this law, and nor can proponents of the law. But here's one argument. You've made yours, and the president, when he spoke this week, he actually referred to your words, and I want to play a portion of this, suggesting that what you really don't want to happen is for the law to go forward, because then people would really start liking it. This is what he said.
He said, it's going to prove almost impossible to undo Obamacare. Right? So in other words, we've got to shut this thing down before people find out that they like it.
You don't think Americans will like it? You don't think that 25% of the state of Texas that's uninsured will actually like the expanded access to get health insurance?
I don't, and here's why. because it's not working. What's happening, if you want people to get health insurance, the best way for them to get health insurance is to get a job. And Obamacare is the biggest job killer in this country.